throwaway ban where they just didn't want to ban something else, so they banned whatever they kind of wanted. You know, whatever isn't gonna really mess them up at all.
Yeah,
But,
like I don't see it being too crazy influential in the round. You still have a bandit on the board. You've now left Jaeger, Maestro, and Echo, probably the most popular bans beside Mira on defense up on the board, and we'll see all three of them come out. And we're going to customs and supply room as the initial defense. That's a decision. We haven't really seen that be the primary for any teams.
No, I think the most notable team that would have gone for like a first pick on this would be old Flipside. We saw them do it a lot when they were in CCS last season. We would frequently see them playing this site, and you'll see a lot of upstairs control. You can see Bolo already going ahead and reinforcing that wall up there. A lot of the play kind of relied on a Mira, though. You would have a Mira sitting in that area that Bolo is reinforcing. Or you'd open up the hatches, have somebody else play up there, have another Mira maybe on the armory wall to keep an eye on that west balcony. But do you think that Mira being banned out is going to have a huge impact on the way that they decide to play this bomb site?
I think the aggressiveness upstairs is definitely going to have to peel back a little bit. You don't have that constant line of sight down a hallway or towards the break room door, so defenders... Okay, that's cool. Sweater just looking like he wants to go for a run-out trip and utilizing a nitro cell to do it. He's got 3 defenders right below him, lighting up and finishing off the thermite. It's a huge pick. They brought the double breach and Rudy Cat as well, but there goes the thermite off the board in about 10 seconds.
Wow. I mean, I wasn't expecting a hard breacher to fall that early. I knew Sweater was going to go for a run out. I thought maybe he would land the shots onto, I think the Blackbeard was over there as well, but
yeah,
straight for the hard breacher. So no full walls can be open. You can open up maybe one full wall with the Hibana, but that does limit how much they can actually breach onto site. So that's going to be a bit of a mess for Sinister to have to really try to deal with. What do you think would be their best option for getting into site? Do you think they should open up why can't I think of it, the detention cell over there? Or should they focus more on getting some things open upstairs to get control of that?
Well, typically you open up either just a line of sight. The Blackbeard, yeah, by Echo. That's Vayne. Caught off guard. Aviation repels on the locker sandwich windows, and Vayne is dispatched quite easily to trade it back out. You open up the tension wall kind of just to be a nuisance, to open up a line of sight to make defenders worry, but there aren't really too many pushes that are ultimately successful. There goes a lot of spray towards metal, and Yaga going to win that against... That is Exo, by the way, if anyone was wondering. T-Hunt Bomber 39 is Exo. I will furthermore call him that. I'm not calling out T-Hunt Bomber. This is not a gay noodle situation, although I do miss him a lot as well.
That was definitely one of my favorite players to talk about when casting. The jokes that came from it were endless and fantastic. But I mean, a minute 15 left on the clock. Not a lot. Well, I mean, Sinister has gotten 2 pretty solid picks here. They did lose RTC, which is pretty disastrous, but I think they're getting themselves into a bit of a better position for their execute, and they just haven't really fully committed yet. Looks like they're trying to still get control of security and make sure that they have control in there, but Dot Dash just hanging out by that desk there is definitely going to delay that as best as possible. But Yaga is going to find Sweater, putting it down to a 4 versus 2. It's going to be Bolo and Dot Dash left to try to clean this up for Disrupt.
A little over 40 seconds on the board. Pings coming out as both the defenders are still topside inside of CCTV. Bolo still playing behind the half wall. He's going to drop down in an engagement between Dot Dash and Sippin' on OJ. He's going to fall off and head towards metal stairs as there's 3 Sinister attackers all pressing in towards the supply room, realizing that it's open, ripping open the wall. Aviation is the Blackbeard with the diffuser. That's an odd choice, but with 20 seconds, Dot Dash and Bolo are going to have to collapse on this attack, pushing from the west stairs. The plant is going down inside a supply room, and just as it completes, Bolo will take down Aviation. Down to a 2v3, pressing the main hallway. Bolo with a wonderful flick onto Yaga, brings it down to equal man count. Now spraying in, Bolo with a 3rd. Drops Rudy Cat, and now it's all up to Sippin' on OJ, playing hatch control. He can't land the shots either. Dot Dash and Bolo complete the 2v4.
This is the Disrupt I was expecting to see tonight. I mean, Sweater with that beautiful pick right at the beginning gave them a pretty solid advantage and slowed Sinister down quite a bit. But Bolo and Dot Dash just there ready to lock it down. My God. I thought that with Dot Dash wasting so much time upstairs and going for the later drop, it would make it a bit more difficult for them, but it seemed like Sinister just got a little bit too distracted and a little split apart there. You saw there was a fight between it was Bolo and Dot Dash were both shooting at one of the players over my main desk. I can't remember who it was. And then long after that player had already fallen, one of them pushes through Workshop and goes to peek that hole. So they were just kind of running at them one at a time, just handing the round over to Disrupt when they should have had it if they had kind of sat back and waited for Disrupt to go and push those different spots. Because you know Disrupt is going to push from various different angles. It's what they do. It's the play style that they have. They don't hold back. So an interesting decision from Sinister to really kind of pursue the kills like that, but beautiful play from Bolo and Dot Dash to capitalize on it.
Yeah, I was a little concerned there for DG, honestly. You know, being in a 2v4, never favorable, but we've seen plenty of instances on a map like Oregon, and sometimes on Border when you have some anchor and plant delay operators remaining, that the 2vx's are quite possible. In that situation, though, the Echo and the Maestro, your two plant delay operators, were off the board in the first minute. So you've already put yourself at a massive disadvantage, and then they lose the third in Sweater on the Valkyrie. The operators in that position themselves were not the best utility operators to complete that, but they just kind of went for the frags, and it worked out in the end. And yeah, Sinister Academy with a little bit of an overextension there, and they had that round in the bag, to be honest.
They should have, but in the end, Disrupt came out on top. Or I should say Bolo and Dot Dash came out on top. They did fantastic there. We're moving into the next round now. We're going to see Ventilation and Workshop being held. This is another, so both of their first sites being downstairs means that they kind of have to focus a bit more on splitting their operators or their players a little bit. You're going to have the people trying to hold upstairs. You're going to have a couple anchors on site. And that I can see that definitely making things a little bit more difficult if say the attackers decide, hey, let's commit to pushing site. If your anchors, or if your roamers, I should say, are out of position, unable to rotate back in a way that you want, then it can be really difficult to play against. So why would you think that Disrupt would be going for the two downstairs sites right off the bat?
I would have said maybe just to throw off Sinister to start things off, but it looks like Sinister are employing a strategy they like to utilize quite often, which is taking universal ops. They'll take the same 5 operators on essentially every single take, unless they have some specific, like, crazy blitz, fuse shield, Finka strategy in which the ops will change. But if they're going for a default take, then they'll take the same 5 ops regardless of objective. It could just be a speed and synergy thing. Like, they're just trying to slow down the synergy, predicting spawns and predicting picks coming out for a typical bomb site. Dash is actually going to take the run out and drop Aviation, go for the vault off AC while I'm rammering on, and there goes Yaga through the wall to trade out Bolo. Dash escapes with his life back to site. Still over 50, and the top floor has been evacuated for DG.
Yeah, I mean, they got a solid pick onto the Blackbeard. That's a huge kill because you're not going to have that Blackbeard covering the window. You're not going to have Blackbeard playing through one of the hatches, or, you know, in a position where it's almost impossible to win the gunfight against him. But they did lose Bolo, who did a lot of work last round. He dropped 3 kills himself, and I think all 3 of them were right at the end for that final clutch moment that they really needed. But it looks like Sinister is getting into position and kind of committing a bit more to pushing towards site now. They've realized they have top floor control, and Vayne is kind of trying to fight them off. Yaga is going to find Exo, though, putting it to a 4 versus 3. 30 seconds left on the board, and Yaga is going to go down, and Sippin' on OJ will fall to Sweater at the same time. So Rudy Cat and RTC left to fight it out, but Dot Dash is going to find the shots onto Rudy. RTC left alone, still upstairs inside of Archives, is going to peek through the hatch, look towards that rotate hole, and not find anyone just yet. He has to go for these kills, but Sweater is going to find the kill onto him, and that's going to be Disrupt taking round 2 as well.
Jeez, Sinister, you know, they started out both of these rounds quite well. The very first 10 seconds of the first round, not the greatest, losing your hard breach, but they had a wonderful comeback to then establish the 4v2. It's that transition onto site. Honestly, it's whenever Sinister is just, they've done their job in clearing out the top floor, and yes, they've lost a member each time doing so, trading out a Blackbeard in the second round, and the Thermite in the first round. The the surprising thing is that Sinister, which have been a team that have been so coordinated and seem like they really understand what every single person on the roster is going to do in the back of their head. They don't need to double check and babysit anyone and make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing. In this game so far, it's only been 2 rounds, I'll give them that, but that transition between clearing out off objective, clearing out roamers, and then getting to the objective is stalling out, and they're putting themselves in really bad positions. And they're just getting caught off guard by a simple angle that really should be checked. I mean, the small office in customs, that's a very common place for someone to sit if they're trying to roam in customs and maintain that map control. And 2 people die from it. I didn't see where Sweater got the kill from as well. He was also playing over there. But yikes, Sinister. They look really hot off the beginning of every round, and then, man, do they just fall apart on that transition.
Yeah, I think that when they lose the operator in the beginning, that does tend to have a little bit of an impact in it and slows them down. And I think trying to recover from losing that first operator is what kind of stalls them out, and figuring out, okay, well, we've got to control of top floor, but we needed this person for our execute on the site. I could see that being something that's causing a bit of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first round it was a thermite. We talked about possibly blowing detention wall or utilizing maybe the passport check wall as well, something you wanted to breach with that. So you got to change your push, but oh no. EXO going for the run out as the Maestro, and he's going to stay out there a little too long. He's going to jump back in and not take any damage for it. Hopefully he's got an ADS at the window. But a good team will adapt to that. A good team will be able to make the change on the fly and not Bible strat it. You know, stop running the strat constantly to a T. You got to make changes as soon as something goes wrong. So I think Sinister just need to work on that dynamic play and the ability to have recoveries when things do go wrong, because not every round is going to go perfectly.
Yeah, it's only 2 rounds into the first map though, so maybe they'll start to clean things up just a little bit. So far on this round, I should say, a whole minute has gone by, and there's been really no trades on either, not even damage between them. There was that risky run out that didn't actually do anything, but it looks like Sinister is just getting themselves into position before they really do anything. Yaga finds the grenade onto the Jaeger. Oh man, that's unlucky. But so that's going to be Dot Dash going down. Dot Dash, that's his first time dying. So he stayed alive throughout the last 2 rounds and made some pretty solid plays during both of those. So with him off the board, we'll see if it impacts them. EXO is going to find Yaga. Sipping on OJ will find EXO, and then Sweater is going to find Rudy, putting it to a 3 versus 3. Trades going back and forth. With a minute 15 left on the clock, anything could happen.
I'm really, really not liking EXO on Maestro right now, considering he hasn't made it into the last minute of a round yet, especially being one of those key informational and plant delay operators. I think maybe a role swap or just an entirely new operator would be a good call. As I say, that Aviation is going to take the head off Bolo, still playing at 90, looking in towards Metal. Flank coming up the stairs is the flanking smoke of Vayne. Turning around to grab the Valcam, afforded an opportunity to Vayne to peek. Now Flashbang's coming out, caught by the ADS. Sweater now peeking up. Vayne's going to drop RTC. The shield goes down. The Blackbeard gets tagged. Aviation will retreat back to offices down to a 2v2.
Vayne has used all of his smoke canister. Sinister is trying to execute on the site. Vayne's going to find Aviation. Sipping on OJ finds Vayne and Sweater, and that's going to be Sinister taking the round.
Yikes. Once again.
I meant it when I said anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, so again, like I touched on in the middle of the round there, EXO, yeah, Maestro's not really working for you, buddy. You got a kill there with the LMG, but there we go. Swapping over to the Legion now. No, he's going back to Maestro. Possible 6-pick, but they're just not getting any use out of the Evil Eyes, other than a little bit of information here or there. But the amount of soft destruction coming out from Sinister is basically just turning that into to null information later on, or just taking it out halfway through the round. I haven't really seen an Evil Eye throughout 3 rounds be all that impactful. A great clutch there from Sipping on OJ, and he's going to swap off the Fuse to a Zofia, and there goes EXO to the Echo, so maybe he can have a little more damage with the Echo drones, or just leave them in favorable positions. It's the one thing about the Echo drones versus the Evil Eyes. The Evil Eyes, yeah, they may be bulletproof. They can't move. They're stuck on the wall. You leave them on for the rest of the round. The Echo drones can maneuver around, and you can hide them in some more precarious positions, and they do go kind of invisible while you're not using them.
And your teammates can move the camera around to look in different angles.
Yeah.
Whereas the evil eyes, you say you die while you're using your evil eye, you leave it in a bad angle, it's just going to be completely useless, bulletproof or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think their goal with the Maestro, though, was more or less for the gun. I feel like that was their main goal with him, because I don't see why they would be focusing on using the evil eyes if they're going to have him making risky plays, like jumping out onto AC right at the beginning of the round.
It seems like the wrong role for him to be in. We've seen him frag out plenty of times before, and I mean, they're kind of similar to Obey, the pro team, that are... They can get a rap for being majority fraggers and not a lot of support players, and somebody's got to fill that role eventually, so... I think it's just a mindset. You got to come in and realize that, yeah, well, you are a very good fragger. Keep that in your back pocket, because you are filling a different role that the team's needs, and if they need you to be more passive, it's more important that you fill the role for the team than just trying to make a play and failing.
Yeah, but it seemed like the first 2 rounds went in their favor, so he didn't really feel a need to swap off of the Maestro, but after losing that last round, I could see the call being made. Okay, get off of Maestro, play Echo, do something that you're a little bit better at. Who knows? We can't hear their communications, but no. This round is playing out a lot like the previous one. We're about a minute in, and there's really been no damage back and forth. I think Rudy and Yaga took a little bit of damage, but I'm not even sure if that was from being shot at. It might have been vaulting over a railing, like from where you see Yaga at right now. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of going a little bit slow. They're not getting into position just yet, just kind of droning and getting the information that they can when they can. Dot Dash has a camera here, though, looking straight towards, I think that's actually the Yokai I think he's on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so he knows the Yaga's there, but he's not actually going for the play just yet. Aviation is going to find the first kill onto Bolo. Huge fragger for Disrupt off the board immediately. And then Exo is going to find Sippin on OJ, so the trade's going back and forth. That's the Zofia now that's down.
Tight pixel angle behind that deployable shield. Flashbangs come rattling in through metal detectors. It's a push coming through, most likely from Rudy, unless Aviation was just launching him from the locker sandwich window. There's no pressure coming from metal, so wasted utility, although as I say that, Aviation was further repelled down on those locker sandwich windows. Grabs a second kill on the round. It's a bad position once again for DG to be in, but at least... Never mind. I was going to say at least they have the Echo. Aviation grabbing a third on the round. A wide peek coming in front of Yaga. He's going to shut down Vayne. It's all up to Sweater now in a 1v4. 45 seconds on the board. They have full A control and the flank, or sorry, B control. Flank coming in from Sweater to Fountain. A wonderful turn. Takes down RTC, but Yaga in position to peek out of the Archives door. Wonderful flick from Sweater. He grabs one. Still too many to deal with as everyone falls to the Blackbeard on that locker sandwich window.
The call out had to have been made at some point that there was a Blackbeard on the window, but they just kept going to that position. I mean, one of them, who I want to say it was Dot Dash, or maybe it was Exo, they took cover next to the bomb, but they were like taking cover in case somebody was pushing in from Armory Wall, not cover from the Blackbeard that had been sitting on sandwich window for basically the entirety of that round. We saw Aviation go up there almost immediately and just kind of hang out. He threw a drone in, I think, himself, and he had a couple people drone out for him. But like, he really just spent his entire round sitting on that window, and DG was just like, "Hey guys, let's peek that Blackbeard," and it really didn't work out for them at all. It seems like the last 2 rounds, they've lost Bolo very early as well. And Bolo, like I said, that first round he did frag out pretty heavy when they were going in for that clutch. We've seen a couple of the other Disrupt players fragging out fairly heavy as well, though, so it's not like they're really relying entirely on him, but I feel like losing him early on could be pretty impactful for the team and the way that the rest of them are playing. We're going back to Customs and Supply. Do you think they're going to play it similar to the way they did it before, and Sweater going for that early aggression, or...?
Well, the early aggression is what I wanted to touch on as well. You've got an unprotected Blackbeard repelling locker sandwich window. There's no Claymore vent window. I didn't see anyone playing AC, although it could have been at least one person playing AC, but a team from DG from the first 2 rounds that were so aggressive and wanted to jump out, specifically AC, and trip wall towards the East vehicle spawn, that just never came out again, and you lose 3 players to a Blackbeard in that round. Just completely unprotected. Also, the Valkyrie cameras. no call came out that he was sitting on the window from a Valkyrie cam that's outside. And seen Sweater throw this cam and the pole cam further down the road multiple times now. I'm just surprised that DG were constantly falling to that Blackbeard.
It was a mistake that they just kind of kept making, and I'm not sure if maybe it was some clustered communications or what ended up being the cause of it. But we'll see if they're able to bring it back for this round. This is the last round of the first half, so whoever comes out on top this time does have a little bit of a lead moving into the second half. We'll see what kind of an advantage that gives them. But Sinister kind of stalled out while trying to attack the security room. There was one of the players with Disrupt. Yeah, so Bolo is playing inside of here, right above this hatch. Kind of pinned down, but it looks like, yeah, Sinister kind of moving out of position where they were pinning him down before. And he does have that yokai up there supporting him as well. So Vayne giving some call outs to him, maybe some information that'll help him out a lot. Rudy just watching from the south balcony, but Exo is going to find Aviation, and then Bolo getting the headshot onto Rudy, putting it to a 3v5 almost immediately. Sweater and Exo both being very low on health, though, so very risky moves, but it ended up working out for them. That was the IQ and the Blackbeard that are both going to be off the board, and there's still a minute 30 left in the round with none of Sinister inside of the building just yet.
Oh, and there come the runouts that I talked about. Yaga is going to trade one out onto Sweater as he vaults in. He's going to get Yokai'd, and Exo is going to take down Yaga coming up east stairs. Going to remove the Claymore with an impact grenade as well. Now peeking towards Trip Wall, but sipping on OJ is going to win that engagement. So only a one-man deficit now for Sinister to fight their way out of. Sipping on OJ a little over half, and RTC still full. So the breach potential on the board in RTC as well. Bolo was in a precarious position facing 3 to 4 attackers consistently on a surrounding of CCTV, and now he's free to sit inside and do as he pleases. He's got the support from Vayne, the Echo over an Armory as well. The stun canister coming out in behind circle monitors. Bolo just crouching up, waiting for the pings to come out, free firing through the wall, unable to land the finishing blow. Hit shots on both. See Insipon OJ lose a little more health, and finally the headshot through the wall. It's RTC alone now, peeking out into Bolo, grabs him. Now has to turn and fight towards the Echo and Armory. 30 seconds on the board, and Dot Dash will clean it up on the rotate up.
I mean, Disrupt did really solid at just completely stalling Sinister out during that round. It took them forever just to actually get inside, and then once they were inside, they had East Stairs. They had the top of East Stairs and nothing else, and they couldn't even hold that. As you saw, Exo came up behind on the Legion and landed the kill on Buck. I'm not overly surprised that Exo threw his life away going for the pick on the Zofia. It was kind of inevitable. I think they had the intel that the Zofia was out there, so he wanted to try to get the kill. Not entirely the best pick, but not surprising from Disrupt. He had a solid read on the rest of his team, and I'm sure he knew that if he fell, they would be able to clean it up. And I mean, just Bolo sitting behind that desk, quickly peeking at the remaining players of Sinister, just firing shots at them nonstop as Echo is pinging them. It's really tough to actually win that fight for Sinister, so I'm not overly surprised by the outcome of that round. But I'm slightly surprised that Sinister took so long to gain any map control, and then they got so little map control as a result of it. I would say that's the one thing that really caught me a little bit off guard there.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at DG's lack of aggression the most previous 2 rounds playing in Armory, Lockers, and Archives, where we see Sinister head now. But the aggression came right back out. They go for the runouts to take down the Blackbeard, repelling outside the Armory balcony. There was 3 or 4 attackers all surrounding Bolo, ready to push in upon him in CCTV, and those 2 quick peeks. Yikes. Well, that's a rip.
Press F to pay respects, folks. Sorry about that, folks. Just a little bit of discussion going on. Yeah, I mean, we'll see if Sinister is able to bring things back a little bit during their second half. We do see Disrupt up 3-2 right now, and they have that Lion on Exo, which is going to be really painful for Sinister to have to deal with, especially losing that player early on. So it's going to be a 4v5 when there is a Lion on the board. which is unfortunate, but we'll see how Sinister manages to play together. We see RTC on that Maestro and Rudy on the Echo and Aviation on Smoke. So they've got 3 operators that are all in position for plant denial. Not necessarily entry denial. The Smoke definitely for entry denial, but we'll see if RTC plays this a bit better than we saw Disrupt playing it during that last half. And EXO already getting hit by the Yokai is going to slow down his push that he was going for to push into offices. He's setting off his EE1D though, and I don't think that they really gained anything from it. Sweater does find RTC, but I'm not entirely sure it was a result of the drone going off. Sweater being very low himself, making his way up metal stairs now, as Sippin' on OJ is going to find EXO to bring it to a 3v4.
Just escaping the sights of Sweater, was pushing up west stairs. He's going to escape into break room, playing in behind the half wall now. The Echo drone still constantly disorienting Bolo as he comes in. Sweater's going to take down Sippin' on OJ, peeking in another one. Aviation going to fall. It's all up to Ruby Cat now. Bolo had gained radio window control, and he's going to finish off Rudy Cat. So a DG advantage now, 2 rounds, a 4-2 lead. Bolo quickly getting off the breach, still disoriented, is able to take down the Echo.
A solid round for Disrupt, put them at a 2-point advantage after their first round on the second half. 2 more rounds and they're going to close out this map. We're going to move on to Oregon. But yeah, I mean, we saw that Maestro fall fairly early once again. So far, neither of these teams really fully utilizing those Evil Eyes, potentially just kind of going for the use of that gun, which it's a solid gun, but you have the Evil Eyes, which are pretty solid utility. So I would definitely make sure to try to utilize those as well, rather than just focusing on, hey, this guy has a good gun, let's just use that. That utility comes into massive play at certain points within a round. We do see a 6th pick onto a Pulse. I haven't seen a Pulse on border in a while, because typically we see him tend to get banned out. I think it was could be, was it Sippin' on OJ that we saw in the Pulse? It was.
Yeah. So I'm gonna head to the Pulse, another try at Armory Lockers and Archives with a full 5 instead of Yaga DCing. Hopefully. Still lots of time left. Yeah, I think it's been a common theme throughout the game is that a Maestro getting aggressive on a peak and not winning the engagement. It's all well and fun to have 81 bullets and those Evil Eyes, but if you're not hitting your targets, you're kind of throwing your life away a little early there. It's been a constant theme for both teams, unfortunately. Full reinforcements coming out onto the fountain walls. We've seen Disrupt a couple times throughout border games throughout this season. Instead of opting to go for what they most recently went for, which was an office take, we've seen like a hybrid like CCTV fountain take, which is something that was very old hat. It was very common actually like a year and a half ago now, but kind of just fell out of the rotation. Everyone just kind of stuck to the AWOL take or the office take. But bring that Hibana is a common factor of taking from CCTV. Lots of sprays coming in towards Sippin' on OJ. The one tap from the detention wall actually landed on the back of Sippin' on OJ. He's able to escape to safety as no one is able to land the shot as multiple drones flanked him.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but Sinister has already lost control of the first floor here, so you're not going to see the Pulse down below going for that plant denial. He's most likely just going to kind of spend his time on site. That C4 gives you a little bit of plant denial, and it's really solid at killing people if you throw it correctly. But I'd like to see that Pulse actually be able to maintain some control downstairs. Maybe have, you know, Yaga on the Jaeger running around down there with him to provide some support. EXO is going to set off one of his EE1Ds as he sends one of his drones in. Pulse is going to be spotted out over here, and he goes for the peak. He does get marked. Damage goes onto him, but he's going to make it away with his life. Looks like potentially he could try to drop through this hatch and go downstairs with Yaga at his side, but Disrupt has already opened up this armory wall, and they're getting ready to commit to a bit of a push from there. It was Sweater and Vayne both downstairs right now, and you can see the Pulse has dropped down. He goes for the shots on Vayne, but Vayne is going to find the headshot first. And EE1D starts to go off as the execute is coming in. EXO is going to find the shots onto Aviation, and he's going to go for the shots onto RTC, but RTC wins that fight. Bolo trades it back immediately, though, 2 versus 4, as Yaga finds Vayne. It's going to be Rudy and Vayne left to try to clutch it out. Rudy finds dot dash now. It's Bolo and Sweater versus Yaga and Rudy. The execute from Disrupt did start to come in, but it stalled out. Unfortunately, Rudy is going to find the shot onto Sweater now, and it's all left to Bolo, who's inside of Armory Lockers right now. I believe the diffuser is down somewhere else. And Yaga on East Stairs is going to rotate through that hallway. Rudy still has one of his yokais, so he's going to go ahead and hit Bolo with that and slow him down just a little bit as Yaga rotates back to site.
Diffuser lost in CCTV, and it's going to give them the information in of who can figure that out and acquire that control first. Still looking for the Echo drone. 30 seconds left as it's constantly pinging him out. And Bolo's still checking the ceiling as the Echo drone is actually on the floor, which is a smart play. Keep it down on the ground, out of line of sight. Another Echo blast to disorient him once again as he pushes Office into a crossfire. Yaga will finish it off from behind a radio desk window. And that is Sinister taking round number 7, cutting the deficit in half. Now a 4-3 scoreline, still in favor of DG. We head deeper into border.
That looked really well for Disrupt right at the beginning. They went in pretty strong. They got a few solid. They got control of the first floor very early, and then they were able to win the fight against the Pulse after he pushed down there and went to try to go and seek some frags. And I don't know. I mean, Sinister just knew what they had to do to fight it back, and they managed to take the win. It was really solid at the end, seeing Yaga and who was it on the Echo? I can't remember precisely, but they set up they worked really well together to make sure that they were able to win those fights, getting that crossfire set up, using those yokai drones effectively. So it was overall just really strong play from Sinister in the end that put them up on top.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're just trying to work out a rehost here. Probably a glitch of some kind, sound glitch, something, I don't know, some new thing. But with that, we're going to be heading to a break. It'll be a 4-3 score line in favor of DG Black up against Sinister Academy. Should only take a couple seconds, but we'll get the lobby back up and running, and we'll get map 1 finished out on the other side of the break. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to CCS Season 3 North America. My name is Crazy Man, and I am still joined tonight by the fantastic Flynn. We are jumping back into Sinister versus Disrupt on Border after a short rehost. The scoreboard right now reads 3-4 in favor of Disrupt, and we are getting ready for Sinister to be defending downstairs.
Yeah, after being successful on the Armory Lockers and Archives defense, we now head downstairs. Sinister to try and tie things up. Still have the Maestro coming out from RTC, and that's been a common point of us to hit on, at least throughout this game, of a Maestro just being a little ineffective with the Evil Eyes. And it is a utility that requires at least good preparation and positioning. We saw the Maestro Evil Eye downstairs inside of Workshop underneath the Archives hatch. That's been a little popular lately to get that info on anyone coming down below, and we saw that in tandem with the Echo drone as well, allowing for Sinister to go for that drop as the Pulse. So at least we're getting some utilization out of the Evil Eyes there, but late round, near that final site push, to be honest, we're not really seeing a lot of those Evil Eyes come into effect. It's more the Echo drones than anything, and I guess it's just the factor of leaving them both on the board. A lot of intel now being brought out from 2 Echo drones and the Evil Eyes, the ability to spot and see on both of them. The other thing really is the Evil Eyes with the ability to see through the smoke is a direct counter to like a smoke plant with a Glaz pushing through. Dokkaebi and Glaz banned on the attacking side really kind of limits the opportunities for any kind of smoke push and plant. So the full utility of the Evil Eyes isn't really going to be seen regardless of what kind of push comes out. It's just going to be really used for intel.
Yeah, and I think so far we haven't actually seen any of the plant denial operators come in for plant denial or any kind of similar play to that. We have seen the yokais used to slow down a push towards some of their teammates somewhere, but we haven't seen them actually used to deny a plant. We haven't really seen plants go down. There was that one plant that went down in supply room.
I was gonna say, I think that supply room plant is the only one in the round through 7 rounds. Or through the game, sorry.
Which is pretty interesting. I'm not overly surprised by it, and I'll say overly surprised probably a lot tonight, but not overly surprised by it because of the 2 teams that we have here and how aggressive they can tend to play. We'll see rounds come more down to down to frags, down to is the defending team able to kill the entirety of the attacking team, rather than are they able to run out the clock, or is the attacking team able to get the plant down.
Fascinating. There's not really any top control here for Sinister. They brought reinforcements upstairs, blew some hatches like they were intending to hold it. The first EOD coming out from EXO, gonna hold everyone in place as they had a good idea of where everyone was positioned. The buck of Sweater gonna be ripping with the floor. Dot Dash looking down through the server hatch will take down RTC. The Maestro, the first to fall once again. And some interesting positioning underneath an open hatch behind a deployable EXO. Gonna grab a second victim onto Aviation. Again, that's the plant delay off the board with 1:20 left. Sipping on OJ firing up. Inside of Customs will take down Sweater. So that's 1 back in the favor of Sinister. Got a big hill to climb up still.
And Vayne shotgunned his teammate's Claymore there, which I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but it is still a pretty funny thing to note. But Disrupt with solid upstairs control, forcing these defenders to run around right into their crosshairs. But Yaga is going to win the fight against Vayne, bringing it back to a 3 versus 3, as an EE1D is going to come out. Sipping on OJ finds the kill onto Dot Dash. It's a 3 versus 2. Yaga finds EXO as he tries to drop through the hatch. And it's all down to Bolo, who's made his way onto site. He's going to get the shots off onto 2 of them. It's Bolo versus Yaga, sorry. And Bolo is going to win that fight in the end with a triple kill clutch, shutting down Sinister in the last seconds.
So everyone focused on that top control from DG, and Bolo kind of just sneaks in there and does what he does. And again, a wonderful 3K to save a round in which DG probably didn't deserve it. Everyone was solo pushing to try and peek in a defender downstairs, and they're losing their gun battles, and then Bolo kind of just slides in the back and takes everyone out while they're not paying attention. Like I said, the Maestro off the board very, very early. Not what you want to see. But again, the Evil Eyes weren't in a position to really do anything crazy, and we haven't seen any plant attempts come down. Like, Bolo had sight with diffuser in hand, but he just kind of pushed in for the kills at the end of it. And that's the story with both of these teams, is they're really going for the frag fest and instead of going for the plant. And I mean, Border is a map that'll play that way, but I'm very surprised at the lack of time really like utilized throughout the round. Like, rounds are ending with like a minute left on the board. Sometimes it's very fast-paced gameplay between both of these teams.
Yeah, it seems like they tend to take a while to get set up before they go for an execute, and things kind of start to fall apart when they do finally go for the execute. We saw it the first half with Sinister. They took a long time to really get into position, and the rounds that Disrupt won against them were really just Sinister had maybe a minute left to really grab some ground somewhere, and Disrupt was like, well, we already know where you are, so we're just going to stop you. And it could start going a pretty similar way for this half. We could see Disrupt kind of stalling out a little bit on their attack. And that actually kind of catches me off guard, because we've noted several times that both of these teams tend to play incredibly aggressive, and they'll just go straight onto site or push as aggressive as possible, go for some insane fights when they can. But the beginning of these attacking rounds just kind of go really slow.
Yaga gonna get down. Did he go for the run outside, or he just accidentally fall through the hatch? I think he might have just fallen through the hatch from standing on the desk and got down. But Rudy's gonna drop downstairs. Vayne, though, unable to secure the kill onto a reviving teammate. Now the flank coming out from Exo to come in and trade one out onto Rudy. It's the Valkyrie who dropped to save Yaga. Yaga somehow makes it out alive as the cover from the front door. Sweater also unable to secure the kill. Spraying up to the floor. He's being pinched from two angles, the hatch and the holes in the floor. Jeez. Exo in a bad spot, but still coming out on top nonetheless.
And it looks like Aviation and Yaga are both around 50 health right now. That's a Smoke taking damage early in the round. Not something you really want to see. Smoke is like we said, Plant Denial Operator. We've seen the Maestro fall early in the round several times. Yeah, the Maestro's Plant Denial might not be the greatest because we're not going to see a smoke push, but that smoke, those smoke canisters, those toxic babes, those can always come into play later on in the round. And seeing Aviation taking that damage early on is kind of disheartening, because you need to really play it a bit safer. Exo is going to find the shots on the Sip and on OJ, though, putting it to a 3 versus 4, and Disrupt have advantage as we move down closer to the 1 minute marker.
Following the Habana behind radio desk window, going to start breaching up in the back of B, and this might be the first opportunity we get to see a plant come down in Armory Lockers or Archives. Sweater going to be launching a frag grenade in towards that Maestro, holding the pixel angle. The frag grenade gets behind while down him. Sweater finishes them off. Another peek from the smoke. Exo and Dot Dash will finish it out, and that's going to be DG taking Border by a scoreline of 6-3. You
jinxed it.
I did.
You promised me a plant. I want to see a plant now. Thank you. But in all seriousness, it's hard to really predict which way this could go, or which way any of those rounds were really going to go, because you saw trades just going back and forth nonstop. And then somehow at the end there, Disrupt just managed to get themselves positioned perfectly with a crossfire on the remaining defenders. And they just took complete advantage of it. That was a beautiful grenade out there onto the Maestro. And then as they started pushing in, trying to go for the other fights, they were popping their heads up and opening themselves up to the other attackers that were sitting inside of Archives. So well done from Disrupt to take map 1.
So we're going to head to a quick break as we get set for map number 2, which will be Oregon, and it'll be up to Sinister to win that to push us to Consulate. If DG come out on top, they'll be leveling the playing field even more, as that'll be back-to-back losses for Sinister and Disrupt gaining ground in the top 2 seeds. We will see you on the other side of a break from map number 2 of Oregon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to CCS Season 3 North America. My name is Crazy Man, and I am joined tonight by the fortunate Flynn. And
the alliteration is always interesting. You pick a new adjective every time.
I gotta, man. I gotta. It's my legacy at this point. We are jumping back into Sinister versus Disrupted. This time we're on Oregon, another map that we see quite often. With two teams that we know very well and know play aggressive. So we'll see how their play style comes into play on this map, and what the operator bans come out to be and how they impact these two teams.
That's not really a surprise. I think getting banned out against Sinister on behalf of DG. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that, like Drake said it in the song, man. I do not want to play against Sinister with a Finka and a shield on the board.
Trying to speak without laughing too hard after that Drake reference there. A lion ban coming in as well. So Finka and Lion, the two Operation Chimera operators, being banned immediately. No big surprises there. I hate playing against a Lion, and with the new buff to Finka, that's incredibly outlandish.
Yup, not fun. Hey, a Maestro gets banned out by Sinister, so we're not going to get to talk about a Maestro dying early on this map, unfortunately.
I think they got tired of hearing us talk about that, and they were like, all right, listen, we got to shut these guys up.
I don't blame them, even in the slightest.
Now, with the Maestro being banned, though, that does get rid of the Evil Eyes that, as you pointed out, I should say, during the last map, that you can go for that smoke plant denial with the Maestro. Do you think that we're going to see a smoke plant coming into play here, as you don't have the Glaz and Dokubi banned?
That's kind of the first thing that I noticed with the bans. Glaz still in play, Dokubi still in play, and there it comes from RTC. There's no stopping Sinister from still bringing a few shield. They just won't have the Finka boost to benefit sipping on OJ. Sinister also employed a pretty heavy Montaigne strat against Powerhouse a couple weeks ago on Oregon that was pretty devastating to their hold, and I'm a little surprised to not see a shield ban at all coming out. I understand the Finka ban entirely, but the shields really do get a boost just from Oregon's play. A lot of tight corridors where you can get locked into some pretty tight rooms, and shields can be pretty massive. The Valkyrie can get 6 to a mute on behalf of Sweater, so probably a hatch mute coming out. Oh, sorry, we're going upstairs, so no hatch mute. They just don't want drones coming in. Not bad.
Can't fault them for that. Those drones can be really pesky sometimes. One thing I wanted to note real quick, I thought about this when I saw the idea for the advanced drone deployment. I thought maybe we'll start to see drones kind of used to fake people out. It's not as great of a fake flash as some of the fake flashes that you have in like CSGO and stuff. But do you think that teams could start to employ a strategy where they throw a drone in through a window and then immediately peek it as the defenders go to maybe shoot that drone, or anything similar to that?
I think it's still very new, so everyone's still got to work out the coordination. You'll see a lot of people who have the advanced drone deployment on right now and expect it to auto put them in their drone as soon as they deploy it. So everyone's got to work on the timing still and get used to that. But I think that would be a really cool just kind of trick to have in your back pocket if you want to utilize it as an attacker, because a lot of us are kind of conditioned at this point. If you see someone in close proximity launch out a drone, that's a free kill. They're stuck in an animation where they can't move for a couple seconds. An aggressive peek coming up from Exo towards the Capitao of Aviation, repelled on the north side of the tower. I think the drone throw could be a cool fake. I think just everyone's got to work on keeping that in the repertoire and practice it a little more, because it's like the same thing with like 6-pick. We haven't really seen it utilized to its full potential yet. I think it's going to take some time for everyone to really adjust to it.
All right, so keep our eyes out later on, as you know, it's been around for a little bit longer. So far this round, though, not too much action. Some risky peeks coming out from kids' dorms there. Some drones going in the kitchen. Fairly common things to see. But already a minute down off the clock, and not a lot of real aggression towards the building from Sinister. I don't think they actually have anyone inside, maybe over by tower, and you see now sipping on OJ making his way into dining hall. Aviation is going to find the first kill, though, on to Sweater. I didn't actually catch where that was on the map, but that's the mute that's going to be off the board. And Rudy finds Bolo, and actually they traded out. Rudy finds Bolo, and Bolo takes Rudy as well. The two mortal enemies, Bandit and Thermite, trading each other off. And there's no more hard breach potential for Sinister, so they have to kind of adapt to that. Dot Dash is going to find Aviation as well. And Yaga now finds Exo. It's a 3 versus 2 with a minute left on the board. No hard breach, and they still have RTC, so they can go for some smoke plants, but it's a very risky move. You got Dot Dash and Vayne left alive for Disrupt.
Yaga's still playing the big window, cutting off any rotation that Vayne would hope to use to come back, and Dot Dash is stuck holding the windows by himself now, as Vayne still needs to cover that vault in from big window, or anyone coming up a staircase back towards site. Yaga lighting up some shots from the room as the concussive mines from, I guess, formerly known as the Lifeline on Zofia. Yaga's going to be the one to take down Dot Dash as the sprays come in. It's all up to Vayne now answering his phone. The vault comes into Yaga's going to trigger a goo mine and press forward regardless. Sitting in behind Dresser, Vayne left alone. He's going to back off out of Armory hallway. Now peeking from Master, checking in towards Pixel, missing the shots onto Yaga. They both trade empty shots that don't land, but it's the SMG-11 of Yaga peeking around the Dresser. That will drop Vayne, and it's Sinister taking round 1 on a pretty effective tower take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what ended up happening there. It seemed like sorry, I think the overlay is... No, it's set up correctly. Sorry. I had a dyslexic moment, and I was looking at the 01 up top that we have for the maps and thinking that was the round count. So pardon me for that. But, yeah, I mean, they just kind of just started falling apart there. They should have had an advantage after taking the only hard breacher off the board. There wasn't a lot of real, potential for a smoke plant. I'm not sure what ended up happening to the smoke canisters, if they were utilized at all, or if he fell with all 3 of those still in his inventory. But yeah, I mean, Sinister started off really strong with 3 members still standing at the end of the first round.
Defenders, protect your
Trade coming out between Rudy and Bolo. Unfortunate on the side of DG, as they both land the headshot, and I imagine, would much rather to have Bolo win that engagement outright and come up and help and keep man count even. He was also a pretty good presence if he was able to clear out Rudy and stay alive through that. If the trade didn't come out, he would have also been a massive thorn in the side of Sinister with a possible run over to meeting through tower, tower through meeting, or just go for a run out of the dining doorway to try and pick off any of those repelled attackers on the kids' windows. Just unfortunate, and I think the read came out pretty well from DG, honestly, expecting that tower side take, the dorm's windows takes, instead of a master side. We saw the thermite being utilized on that pantry wall. So clearly Sinister had a plan, and they executed it throughout the round. Never really had to make a swap out. And now there's a double push coming up from the basement of Sipping on OJ and Aviation.
Yeah, and so far Sinister looks to be changing up what they're doing for this round, potentially going for a master take, just kind of really trying to flush out any roamers. You see Sweater is inside of that garage, though. He's got Aviation right near him. He could even go for a spray through this soft wall that's there. Aviation is going to run out of there, though, and head towards the main stairs, actually into Classroom. Sweater moving into a slightly better position. He gets the shots off onto Sipping on OJ as Yaga finds Exo elsewhere on the map. Vayne, now sitting over in the bathroom corridor, is going to be playing an aggressive angle. I think he may have gotten droned out. Sweater still down below in a solid position to really come up for it and be just more of a thorn in Sinister's side right now. Seems like a lot of focus coming onto this. Vayne's phone is going to start ringing, and he's going to have to fall back as Yaga is chasing aggressively. Bolo finds the shots onto Aviation, and Yaga finds the shots on Vayne. It's a 3v3 with a minute 30 left in the round, and Bolo sitting in kitchen at half health.
Bolo came in support and dispelled off one of the attackers coming to push out Vayne, but unfortunately goes for that peek out of the bathroom doorway, and Yaga had it cut off entirely. Rudy's going to drop Sweater as well, so now it's a 3v2 once again in the favor of Sinister. Bolo and Dot Dash now the two to try and clutch out. Still 75 seconds on the board as they start pushing in. RTG's going to come in through the basement once again. So they still got Bolo, who was on a roam down by kitchen, could have gone back upstairs. They're going to hack default cams and any Valkyrie cams that were left standing. From Sweater's deployment throughout the round, drones coming in. Looks like it's just dot dash on site by the rotate between dorms and big window.
We saw these two clutch it out in a 2 versus 3 on the last map. We'll see if they're able to pull off something similar this time. Dot Dash making his way through Dorm's main hall, going to throw a smoke canister towards that main doorway. Bolo has made his way back to site via the white stairs, and now we see Dot Dash and Bolo on site, getting ready to deny this push. Grenade comes in to try to shut down Dot Dash. I think he got rid of those bandit batteries that were on the wall as well. So now that thermite is going to go ahead and open up that wall. A drone comes by and spots Dot Dash. Yaga's going to find the kill onto Bolo, and he goes for the aggressive shotgun, but Rudy is going to find the shots onto Dot Dash, and Sinister will take round 2.
Just unfortunate timing as Bolo was taken down by Rudy from all the way down the hallway, and then the breach comes out, and not a lot for Dot Dash to do there in a tough situation. Pulled out the shotgun and was able to down the sledge, but other than that, there's not a lot he could do, being pinched from multiple angles, stuck inside a generator. I thought if anyone was going to go for that run into generator, it would have been Bolo, as I imagine a call. Actually, I don't know. The default cam was dead. It would have been up to whether or not there was a Valkyrie camera up either inside of Master or in the main hallway or something to give the call. But all 3 attackers were stacked on one another right outside the Master doorway at one point. So if Bolo wanted to hop in a generator, he possibly could have bandit tricked the generator wall with Dot Dash covering him as that smoke, but just didn't go for that play specifically. DG now, after 2 unsuccessful attempts at defending the top floor, will head to the basement.
This is one of the things that I like to note when a team does this. Instead of banging their head against the wall, trying to do the same thing over and over again to no avail, they're changing it up. They're heading downstairs. They're making a change that might be needed to kind of slow down Sinister's momentum. We do see that thermite. So Habana wasn't banned, but we see a thermite being picked, and we see Disrupt being downstairs now. So they've got several hatches that typically would be opened up by a Habana. You've got that main hatch. Sorry, I got a little bit of a hiccup there. And then the 2 hatches that are inside of Meeting Hall can all be opened up by Habana. But when you bring the thermite, it limits things a lot more. Typically, you want to get that main hatch open and that wall next to classroom. You can do that with a single thermite charge, but you have to pick which hatch inside of Meeting Hall you're going to want to open. And it's definitely much more to an advantage to have all 3 of them open as opposed to limiting yourself to just 1.
Alibi coming out from Exo as he's been playing towards dining. So DG still opting to go for this hold inside a kitchen regardless of the objective. Just trying to maintain that map control. The fake alibi gonna work for a hot second there, detecting sipping on OJ. But other than that, it's gonna get dispatched of rather easily. Yaga's gonna hop in showers as well, holding any kind of rotates through bathroom hallway. The drone at the feet of Exo. Yaga gonna claim the life of Bolo. Now the push in from aviation with the drone in tandem. Detected once again from an alibi, but also secures the kill, and that's 2 quick frags for Sinister.
Yeah, very solid start to the round for them. DG is left in a position where all of them have to kind of focus on staying near site. You've got Sweater playing pretty aggressive at the top of those main stairs, and I think oh wait, so Dot Dash is still up in attic, and I think they're in a position where they're able to cut off his rotate. No, okay, so he's running back down to Meeting. So this is kind of interesting. They're in a pretty severe man disadvantage. You've still got Dot Dash going for a slightly aggressive position inside of Meeting Hall. Sweater did just manage to make it safely down those main stairs, and Sinister just kind of focusing on heading towards an execute, getting some drones towards Dot Dash, who's going to rotate back down towards Electric Room. Minute 30 left on the board, and Sinister Academy has everything available to them.
Drones have done a really good job of assessing where these defenders were hiding out throughout the map and either forcing them back or securing the kills. So 2 frags picked up. They're going to spot out Sweater once again, trying to play these aggressive angles, and it's just he's always being droned out consistently. And honestly, someone's got to make a play on behalf of DG. There's no way to rotate back up through Meeting as the flank is being held. Vane's going to have to try and stall this out with the smoke canisters. He launches the first one out towards the stairs as the Claymore gets deployed at the bottom. That's a risky peek to take if you're Vane. He's still going to go for it, and he's going to get away with it as the angle stops being held from sipping on OJ. He's launching in some concussion mines. The asphyxiating bolt comes into closet as well to try and dispel Vane. He's dropped to half. Rudy takes down Sweater as well. There goes the play. It's down to Dot Dash and Vayne in a 2v5 now. Once again, 2vx for DG. Answering the phone, stuck in the closet, smoke bolts, holding him in bay inside the closet. Sipping on OJ, he's going to drop Dot Dash, and it's the 1v5 for the 30 HP smoke of Vayne stuck inside a closet laying prone. Fuser is ticking down against him. All 5 attackers bearing down on top of him. Vayne is going to grab Aviation. Now still stuck inside the closet. He's going to go for the rotate back. He's got a second one pushing down the hallway. Spots him, but it's RTC winning out with the other secondary SMG, the 12 instead of the 11. Vayne will fall, and it's a 3-0 lead for Sinister.
Sinister coming in really strong to start off this map. You know, last map did go in favor of Disrupt, and it was a pretty solid lead that Disrupt held for a bit of the duration of that map. And this time on Oregon, Sinister is just saying, "Hey, Disrupt, guess what? This is ours. We're here. We're fighting, and we're gonna shut you guys down." And they're doing really well at it. It's not one of those. Whoa! Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
What am I seeing? Oh, we're
Rear
going
stage
tower?
Watchtower.
Yeah, they've done it before.
They've
It
done
used
it before,
to be super
still...
impressive, or super crazy. But now I'm just like, it's DG, man. They do some weird stuff, and I like it. I like seeing it.
It actually caught me mid-sentence there. It was in the middle of talking. I've completely forgotten what I was talking about, but we're going to see Disrupt holding Rear Stage and Watchtower. I think I've actually casted a game where they were doing this, and they came out on top. They do pretty well at this. They know it. They're ready for it. That's obviously why they're picking it. But can't remember if they had a... I wouldn't say a Mira would come in that's strong play on this bomb site, but a Maestro maybe against a smoke push. But I don't think we're going to see... We do have Aviation and RTC with smokes, or smoking capabilities, I should say. So who knows? I mean, this round is going to be wild to see.
Sweater the drone hunter, still putting his cams out. And yeah, the tower hold, it's become much more common ever since ESL implemented the 2-site rotation instead of just the one that we are still currently on here in CCS. And that used to be the old standard. It's got a lot more play. It really comes down to your specific playstyle. I think on tower you can't get too aggressive on the defensive side because you're in a very vulnerable position. A lot of windows and a lot of specific angles so that attackers can garner onto you. And also as the attacking side, you can't really stall out ever. We've seen a lot of defenses win out on time on tower simply because teams just aren't that proficient in attacking it. Looks like Sweater... Just thinking about going for a run out. There's a Capitao of Aviation still droning all the way down to the bunker of construction spawn. It'd be a long run, but if he's on his drone, he might be able to get there in time. But Aviation going to sprint in with Yaga. And this downstairs up push, again, from Sinister coming out.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Disrupt play this bomb site before. I'm sure that Sinister has as well, so they've probably prepared something. They probably saw Oregon and were like, hey guys, we're probably going to have to fight tower. And I'm sure that Sinister has prepared for this at least a little bit, maybe not a lot. But so far, they seem fairly coordinated in their moves. They're all focusing on really that downstairs take. Sweater finds the first kill onto Yaga, though. That's the sledge off the board. He actually got that from the hatch above electrical inside of meeting room.
Yeah, I was surprised that they were going for that downstairs push so heavily. Aviation was down there as well, and now he's going to be taken down by Exo, and now a hot breach in. It's going to drop Bolo, sipping on OJ, comes into the tower rafters, stuck in the floor. Dot Dash going to clean it through the floor. Exo comes back to safety behind the dresser as well. RTC going to trade one out onto Vayne, but they're still at a disadvantage. 75 seconds and everything's popping off. Rudy grabs another one. It levels up man count now. It's down to the Valkyrie and the smoke. His meeting control ascertained now by RTC. Rudy's pressed into Attic. They both drop meeting to go for this push. They can thermite out the stage wall. They're going to have to deal with an Echo drone pinging them, and the smoke canisters, and a Valkyrie with a Nitro cell still on the board.
Less than a minute left on the clock, and they really have to start committing. Sweater is going to get downed on that stairwell, though. Dot Dash is going to come down and throw a smoke canister to try to deny that plant. Rudy is taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to fall back off of that, and now Sweater has been picked up. Another smoke is going to go off and put a lot more damage on Rudy, bringing him incredibly low. RTC sitting around half health, and Disrupt seems to be bringing this back seemingly from the brink. Sweater going for an aggressive push, though, making his way down here as Thermite opens up that wall. Sweater looking towards the stage, and I don't think Rudy or RTC are aware of it. Sweater goes for the peaks. He's going to get the shots off onto Rudy, and Dot Dash is going to land the headshot onto RTC to clean it up, and Disrupt is going to get their first round of this map.
Slick movement from both sides. Saw RTC head downstairs and go for the stairs flank up. And then we saw Sweater push down into the meeting doorway, and just perfect timing on those rotations. If RTC was half a second faster or Sweater was half a second slower, he probably would have got caught off guard, and the SMG-12 most definitely would have won out in close range engagement versus an MPX. But hey, DG grab a round back on the board. They're going to head upstairs once again, and EXO sporting the Frost currently. I would expect that to be a 6-off.
I don't know if we can really expect anything with DG, though. That's the problem. Looks like you're right, though. He's going to go for that 6th pick. We'll see who he decides to pick in place of that.
Well, the surprise factor, really, with Frost is what you're going for. You want a 6-on to a Frost. And honestly, I don't think anyone is going to take that pick too seriously, seeing it off rip in reveal phase. Like, that seems like the most obvious 6-off, too, because you don't want to give it away. It really is that surprise factor that usually gets a lot of people when you 6 onto the Frost and deploy those traps in maybe some common vault-in areas where you can have a roamer come clean that. It's, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily show it and keep it.
Yeah, but I think by 6 picking onto the Pulse, that could have driven Sinister off of a read from thinking maybe they're going to go top floor, maybe they're going to go bottom floor. But by not seeing that Pulse, that could leave the option of bottom floor still open for Sinister. So I could see that being, you know, the reason why they did that as well. Looks like so we're gonna have Bolo and EXO playing inside of the kitchen right now as Sinister start their attack on the final round of our first half. It is 3-1 right now in favor of Sinister. A very solid start to this first half. Disrupt not in the greatest position, but still has the potential to fight it back. Sinister not really. It looks like Yaga trying to figure out what exactly he's going to do here as Sippin' on OJ is going for the pick onto the player. I think it was EXO was sitting inside of Dining Hall, but he's going to get away with his life. And yeah, I mean, it's just another round of really delaying Sinister. We'll see if they're able to pull off the victorious attacks that we've seen them picking off throughout the rest of this half.
EXO going for the peak, and he's going to win that engagement against Yaga holding the angle in showers to start things off right for DG once again. Sippin' on OJ's made his way into Dine. He's got support with Aviation as well. The ping's coming out, and the Pulse Cardiac Sensor is going to spot them evacuating, heading back out that dining door. Key thing is here, Sippin' on OJ thought he had a Claymore, tried to put a breach charge on the ground outside, and Aviation could have possibly had a Claymore on the Capitao as well. He had the stun, so there's no Claymore at the dining door to at least reveal that someone might be going for that run. So Sippin' on OJ is going to have to hard hold that, but now EXO on the top of Small Tower is going to go for the vault. Sippin' doesn't hear it, and now going for 2. EXO grabs the second one onto Aviation, pulling out the pistol. He gets the third! RTC will fall. It's all up to Rudy now in a 1v5 for Sinister.
Rudy's going to find the shots onto Bolo, though, as Sweater and EXO are both collapsing on top of him. Rudy's going to find the kill onto EXO as well, and he's going to get the shots off on EXO. It's a 1 versus 2. Dot Dash and Vayne are still remaining on site. Rudy, at about a quarter health, has no one there to reset him. He's the last man standing for his team. Less than a minute left. He has to figure out if he's going to go for a defuse or if he's going to have to go for these frags. He's going to make his way up towards the attic. There is a rotate hole here. He can jump through. The shotguns at the top of White Stairs are going to reveal Vayne's position on that smoke, but I think they may have figured out that Rudy is over there as well. The SMG-11 shots are going to come out, and Vayne is going to get the shots off onto Rudy Cat, and that's going to be Disrupt taking another round for themselves.
EXO hitting the 4-banger on the round. Okay, cool. I actually didn't know you could shoot through that dresser. I thought it ate a majority of bullets, but cool. SMG-11 randomed through the wall. Vayne's going to take it, and so will DG. Very aggressive play, and it works out. And gotta feel bad for Sippin' on OJ there, just not hearing the window break, or maybe he did and just didn't know what window it was, what was going on. But incredible run out there from EXO. stuck on that rappel, it's hard. He went for the extremely wide flank on the peak, and there's only a certain amount of turning radius you get while in that rappel, so probably a good chance that Aviation and his counterpart just did not have the ability to look and see EXO, as he had to empty the clip and then swap to the pistol and continue firing to secure all 3 kills. Not a position you'd most likely win if maybe they weren't on the rappel, but an incredible play nonetheless. Rudy tried his best. I will say that. He hit some nice shots on the return.
Oh yeah, I mean he played beautifully, winning the fight against who was it, Sweater and Dot Dash, I think, were the 2 that pushed towards him there. I could be wrong about that, but
EXO, Sweater, and Bolo that all died to Rudy.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, he played beautifully holding that off, but when you're up against the smoke and you're at a quarter health, it's kind of inevitable that you're going to lose. I think he still had at least 1 smoke canister on him, so that gives him solid denial, and I don't think he had a drone. He was put in the worst position possible to have to try to clutch it out, and he fought really hard for it. It was incredibly impressive nonetheless. But in the end, it was Disrupt that's going to get their second round. Moving on to the second half now, though, with Sinister up 3-2. We saw this coming out last game where it was Disrupt up 3-2 after that first half, and they managed to take it. We'll see if Sinister manages to take this map and push us into Consulate. First site is going to be defending upstairs with a pretty similar setup to what we saw before, but this time we've got Rudy on that castle, and he has castled off the meeting doorway as well as bottom of white stairs there.
I'm also surprised to see Sippin' on OJ on the Echo. Not an anchor role for Sippin' on OJ, not the most typical for him, but nonetheless he's going to be doing so. And now EXO is going to down and finish off Yaga inside a kitchen as he wins that engagement. Down to about 10 HP as he pushes in. Vane's going to drop Aviation 2 as the onslaught from DG continues. Dot Dash drops RTC. It's a 5v2 early. Sippin' on OJ down to 1 HP as well. DG continue to roll after dropping the first 3 rounds. A quick peek looks like it wants to come out from Sippin' on OJ. He gets 1, but immediately refragged. It's all up to Rudy Cat trying to break out a meeting. He's not even on site. DG have full control, and they're going to go for the push. Still plenty of time left on the board. The flank coming white stairs. Rudy's going to grab 1, but the push in from Dot Dash is going to save his own life. Down to the 1v3 now. No impacts. It's just going to be him with the UMP firing up to the floor, answering the phone call. Sweater still on repels. The plant being completed at big window. Bolo and Dot Dash both going to vault out and get to safety. A drone being deployed. Rudy in an impossible situation, trying to battle against 3, holding his own site, having to retake. There's no breach hole. He has to come hallway. Everyone knows it. Sweater now going to peek around the deployable and win the engagement. DG continue to roll 3 straight.
This is the momentum that DG needed for this map. They have full capability of shutting this out right now, taking this 2-0 against Sinister. And, I mean, Sinister was able to win those first 3 rounds, but they kind of lost their momentum. As soon as Disrupt was able to pick up that first round that they got, it seems like Sinister's just slowed down since then. They're making poor decisions. They're getting caught in tough spots. There was that run out that we saw during the first half. It's just, and Rudy, poor Rudy is trying his hardest, and he just keeps getting put in these clutch situations where it's nearly impossible for him to win. And he's just trying his hardest to make it out of it alive. But Disrupt is just going in and dropping Sinister left and right like it's nothing. And that was just their first attacking round. There's still several more rounds for them to just massacre Sinister like that again.
Well, when it rains, it pours, and that's kind of what every single round that DG has won so far has been. Just, they start off hot, and they continue to roll throughout the round. They just take that momentum and run with it. And Sinister heading back upstairs. They're not gonna, there we go, swap out RTC to the Echo and put Sippin' on OJ on a Bandit. So hopefully he can go out and roam, as it was, God, I don't remember. Whoever the bandit was inside a kitchen lost their engagement to EXO after having to jump on him. Went for that initial peek from the kitchen doorway to Shower's hallway, and EXO won it just through pure gun skill. And I mean, that's kind of what DG has turned this into. They've ramped up the intensity, they've ramped up the speed and the efficiency of all their rounds that they've won, and they've kind of made this into their own game after it looked like we were most assuredly heading to Consulate.
Yeah, one of the impressive things about Disrupt is that, yes, they can do some creative things, but they also have a lot of just, and I said this before, a lot of just individual skill when it comes down to gun skill, when it comes down to game sense. Like, they're solid at this game. Every individual player on Disrupt is very solid. Not a single person is carrying the team per se. Yes, some of them, sometimes they'll do a bit more work during one round or one map, but you can take any single member of Disrupt, put them into a bit of a tough situation, and still kind of expect them to come out on top. And that puts them in a very favorable position when they're going for these early fights. They've got several of them standing up against one member of Sinister, and they turn it into a gunfight. They turn it into, you know, who's more skilled, and they come out on top because Disrupt is pretty skilled.
Speaking of, Bolo's going to drop Sippin' on OJ as he tried to go for the wide peek onto Exo and push into Kitchen. Now Jaeger holding a meeting. Yaga going to fall. The Echo Tron going to fall as well. Once again, Exo walking away with 10 HP, unable to land the finishing blow onto him or all of Sinister tonight. As they have this 5v3 advantage. Sweater taking a little bit of damage, and RTC going to finish him off. Rudy has a possible angle from the slit windows in Attic. Peek towards anyone going for the repels, as it looked like DG were positioning themselves for a windows take earlier on, but now they have the full mobility to maneuver around. They still have Bolo on the breach to head to Closet should they go for the master take. Flashbangs being launched in, no ADS in sight to catch it. Dash pinning down the defender playing top white. Aviation is going to fall to Exo, and now it's a 2v4. RTC and Rudy trying to battle out of a phone booth once again.
And Exo goes for the peek onto Rudy. He's going to lose that fight, putting RTC in a 1v4 position. He's going to win the fight against Exo, but Bolo is going to find the shots onto him from the window, and that's going to be Disrupt, putting themselves in the lead.
4 straight for DG. Doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon, as their attacks are very aggressive. They're in your face, and they're simply winning their engagements every step of the way. I imagine, and yeah, the initial pick coming up from Sinister is to head downstairs on the defense. I'm not at all surprised by that, as this kitchen meeting hold for Sinister has been nominal at best. Just 0 impact on the round, and all it does is take 90 HP from Exo, and he walks away with 2 frags each time. So it's an unfortunate position to be in for Sinister, as they definitely need to make some changes here. And I don't know which play style I'd rather see more from Sinister, whether to return the favor and the aggression and also get in DG's face and try and turn this into a bloodbath in the first minute and just try and take the trade-out battle, or try and play a lot more reserved and anchor a lot heavier and kind of just at least give yourself that time advantage, that the time is ticked down enough on DG's side that they're in a hurry. It seems like DG are very relaxed in every single one of their rounds when they're pressing in. Like, they have no cares. They know they have all the time in the world. They know they're winning their gunfights, and they're continuing to press that issue. Sinister, I think, a little more time wasted on the defense and anchor a little bit harder. I think that slower play style might trip up DG enough for that aggression kind of stalls out later on in the round.
And it's up to Sinister to really just kind of adapt, and they're going downstairs this time, so potentially we'll see a solid adaptation from them. Maybe this will mess with Disrupt, but we have a Dokkaebi and a Glaz from Disrupt, so I think it might have been a pretty solid read from them. They've got the full potential for a smoke plant, and I mean, seeing the gunfights that Disrupt is putting themselves into and taking, I don't see Sinister Academy really being able to shut down a smoke plant with Dot Dash on the Glaz. We got this early aggression from Vayne and Exo making their way in through dining and kitchen, using the breaching charges on that IQ to full potential. I believe there is one of the members of Sinister sitting inside of Attic, as Exo has already made his way all the way over to this rotate hole, but Sippin' on OJ is going to find the shots onto him as the drone from Dot Dash comes in behind him. The drone should be going in first, not the IQ. Sippin' on OJ sitting at half health, and he's going to be in a solid position to stop a further push through this pantry hole. Yaga's stuck in attic. Oh, no, he made it.
Oh, we're good.
He made it.
Yaga's just...
Your legs are working, Yaga.
Yikes. Okay, back into the round. 5v4 advantage for Sinister. Yaga made it back up. We're all good. He's playing that meeting attic hatch, looking in towards that rotate, but no pressure coming from there anymore as a rotation down through blue. That's the Dokkaebi sweater is going to back out as well. So, like I said, DG now faced with a much more anchored hold inside of a meeting this time as they're trying to extend all the way to kitchen, and they're running into some issues. They're just running into a wall of their own progression, not being able to advance any further, and Yaga still holding this hatch. Vayne is going to take down Rudy, though, from the backside as that Zofia breaking in. Now he's pressing in through meeting. Yaga going to trade out Bolo as he tries to press in. Sipping on OJ going to take down Sweater as well, so now it's down to a 2v4. Vayne and Dot Dash left alive against 4 defenders, and getting rid of Yaga has to be the first priority. He's got so much control from that hatch above meeting. The Echo drone disorienting Vayne. Time ticking down against Disrupt now. First time on attack that they've really faced any kind of adversity.
Yeah, less than 45 seconds left, and Sinister is sitting nice and tight in their positions. You've got Yaga still inside of attic, sipping on OJ. Is going to land the shots onto Dot Dash from the rear stage stairs. It's all up to Vayne now, who's going to fall to Yaga in the attic, and it's going to be Sinister tying it up 4-4. Potentially getting a little bit of momentum back, trying to push this towards Consulate.
It's a best of 2 rounds now. If we have to see overtime, then I guess we will. But DG have a chance to close this thing out here as the defense heads back upstairs for Sinister. They've been dominant on this particular push, although when it comes down to match point, when the opportunity is availed for Sinister to head back downstairs, they're going to have to readjust some of their take, I think, heading in and applying some pressure from the back of tower into those attic walls or just up against the slit window, trying to push Yaga out of his position as he was so controlling of all of meeting playing from that hatch inside of attic. The pressure didn't come out until Vayne was last alive, and there's just got to be a call coming out from DG to push him out first. Once he was spotted up there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid hold from Yaga. He played it beautifully. He didn't get too scared and just kind of like sit back and let anything really happen to his teammates that were sitting inside a meeting. He stayed strong, made sure that he was there to support, got the kills that he needed to get, and never gave up ground unnecessarily. A lot of the times, you'll see teams where a call is made kind of early on in the round. Maybe, you know, sometimes a little bit later in the round too, but it's upsetting when early on in the round you see those roamers kind of fall back to site or just give up ground to the attackers that you don't need to give up. You still have the potential to contest it without really throwing your life away, but they will get a call from their in-game leader, or they'll make a decision themselves where they feel like they're not in a solid position and they'll fall back. But Yaga was not having any of that, and he was shutting Disrupt down left and right. So well played from Yaga to get that round for Sinister. And we'll see if Sinister is able to keep that going, or if Disrupt just kind of jumps back onto the train and moves forward to take this map.
Bell's coming out from Exa, but they haven't cleared out Tower, and Rudy stationed, bouncing back and forth between T1 and T2, and he's in a perfect position if he doesn't reveal it too early to have the flank and just honestly the crossfire with other defenders on site to anyone pressing on those dorms windows. Rudy's actually going to go up into attic and probably try and take the engagement through the slit window onto anyone repelled up against the windows themselves into sight. Drone coming out into tower from Sweater, not going to spot anyone. He's going to try and make the entry. Once again, DG pressing on the west-east clear, making a lot of progress, just not as aggressive and not as successful as it was previously.
Yeah, less than 2 minutes left, and they're still working on getting control of dining. That Zofia did just use one of her impacts to get rid of the bandit batteries that were on the wall, so we could see that kitchen wall start to get opened up, and you know, we might see them start to get flushed out of there. Yaga sitting inside a meeting, sipping on OJ, falling through that pantry hole where I think a few shots were coming at him on his way through. So giving up a little bit of ground, but still maintaining control of the meeting hall, and they have a rotate back to site if they need it. Bolo is going to find some shots onto Aviation, though, from that big window. So now they have the glass positioned outside, trying to apply some pressure from there as the rest of the team makes their way in from below.
Sweater's going to take down Yaga and now spraying in towards the slit window of Attic. Sipping on OJ, going to trade out Exo as he's still downstairs holding the kitchen. That's Diffuser down inside of Showers now. Another push coming in. Dot Dash actually going to take that down with the bearing 9 from outside the bathroom doorway. Now it's a 2v4 for Rudy and RTC to try and hold out. Rudy's still offsite, going to try and reclaim the kitchen for as long as possible and come from the flank. White stairs. RTC alone as Bolo is going to smoke himself off and jump in the big window, spraying in towards kids, towards RTC. The flank once again from Rudy on the white stairs, but he's unable to secure the kill. RTC going to take down Bolo with the bearing 9. But now Dot Dash has reclaimed the diffuser. Sweater pressing aggressively right up against that deployable shield, and he's going to win it with the SMG-12. The sidearm SMG battle once again coming in favor of that SMG-12 close range. And DG have put us on match point, series point. It's up to Sinister to push us to overtime.
Once Disrupt starts rolling on one of these attacking rounds, it takes a lot to really shut them down. They are probably going to go, yeah, so we're seeing Laundry and Supply once again. So, you know, maybe we'll see Yaga playing probably a different position. That Attic worked out for him, but I'm sure that now Disrupt is going to be expecting it. He's on that Vigil, though, so we'll see how that changes up his roam. And, yeah, I mean, Disrupt, they're going to have to adapt to the way that Sinister was playing downstairs before. They need to make sure that they shut down any roamers early on. Make sure that they figure out where those roamers are before they lose people to them. And a 6th pick onto the blitz for Exo. I think you can explain that a lot, just how menacing that could be. I think you could explain that a bit better than I can.
Cancerous? Yeah, lots of fun. Lots of fun. You got 6 smoke grenades on the board, too, if Exo has properly taken the smokes on blitz. That's a pretty good front push, honestly. We've seen a lot of west-east from DG, and on the upstairs pushes, it's worked out beautifully. On downstairs, however, they stalled out quite a bit and got repelled by, I guess, just not expecting the hold being all the way back inside of a meeting. I guess they were expecting the same kind of pressure inside a kitchen, but they got locked into that funnel of that rotate from pantry into meeting and just got locked down by Yaga previously. I think, honestly, their best bet is to ignore that and head to site. They have a lot of the utility necessary to completely devour any of the anchors remaining on site and keep that control without having to worry too much about a successful retake, and this could be all over quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Exo in that game that I was talking about last week. He played Fuse with a shield, and at one point he was pushing into security or he was outside of security, I should say, on border, and he landed the nuttiest flick shot that I've seen in a while. He just quickly ADS'd and looked straight at somebody and took them out all the way across security and break room, just a clean headshot, and wiped them out of the game. So seeing him on the blitz, we know that he can do very well with shield operators in general, and seeing him with blitz is definitely going to be a lot worse. And I think he's going to go for a really aggressive push. They've got the castle barricade on the meeting doorway, which just lines this up perfectly for Disrupt to just go straight for a site take. And you see already Exo making his way down here. He's probably going to bait out a smoke canister or 2, maybe even a C4 as he's making his way down the hallway here. And Smoke, yeah, Aviation already deciding he might have to pick a different position to be in.
Exo's going to back off up the main stairs as you got 3 anchors on site. Sipping on OJ also sticking around. The blitz with the diffuser going to cause a lot of worry for everyone. And now Yaga, he's made a rotate for himself out the back of Attic. The first smoke grenade coming in as lots of sprays come wildly in towards the front of the stairs. A second smoke grenade from Dot Dash chucking off hallway as well. You guys saw the smoke canister landing directly on top of the blitz of Exo. He's trying to escape through the barbed wire. He gets down to about 5 HP. He will be actually downed. He'll be revived. Just sipping on OJ, presses up into Laundry. As the peak gets opened up, Bolo is going to take him down. That's the bandit off the board. 2 anchors left. 2 smoke canisters utilized. The last one going to be heading out with a minute remaining, and it just barely makes his way to the staircase. Although the Echo Drone's also going to be a massive deterrent. The second phone call coming out is still a 4v5. The plant is still attempting to be going down. Bolo spraying wildly in. The plant gets completed. The glass holding. Now Exo's going to go for the press up and try and get in the face of anyone possible. He gets taken down by Aviation, but Sweater's going to trade it. Dot Dash going to fall. Bolo with the bearing 9. Trades back and forth. And now Sweater going to level it up. It's all up to Yaga now. Coming through Laundry Hallway. Bolo misses the shots. Now checking for Hatch. Yaga all alone, the 1v2. Pulls out the trust, the SMG-12. He's got a flank from his backside. In Vane coming in, spraying in towards Laundry. The peak comes out. No one landing the shots back and forth, but they're killing enough time off the diffuser. Yaga still trying to ascertain. He's gone for the flank in through supply. Coming hallway. Vane's going to cut him off. And DG are going to take it 2-0 over Sinister Academy, giving them their second consecutive loss and bringing themselves within 1 game of the standings of Sinister.
Wow. To sum it up, just wow. That was wild. The aggressive play from Disrupt there, being challenged by the smoke early on, but he just kind of used those smoke canisters a little bit too freely.